Exodus from the blue states and the dumbest bill in the United States of America. This is Mark Fisher of Mark and the Millennials, and I'm joined by our millennials, Andrew the Fuji Fulginiti and Ryan the Squirrel Brady, and our producer, Adam Couture. How y'all doing?
Doing great.
Yeah, doing good.
Yeah, that's good. Well, welcome back. First up, we have residents fleeing three largest U.S. cities and, of course, states across the United States because of taxation, because of regulation, because of the new SALT deductions that were, of course, put inside the Tax and Jobs Act just a couple of years ago. We have a clip on this. It's absolutely fascinating how people are migrating across the United States. And here's the clip.
Paul Chabot is with us. He's the president and CEO of Conservative Move. Right, Paul, you help people move from blue states basically to red states. Which state is the one that is losing most people?
So when you look at the overall numbers, California is by far losing the most. Not only people, but businesses. California's lost about 500,000 people in the last 8 years. They've lost about 13,000 businesses in the last 4 years. But you look at Illinois, you look at New York, New Jersey, most of these blue states are losing populations, and they are coming to red states, Texas and Florida and Idaho, Utah.
So that's what's happening, of course, in some areas of the United States. What do you guys think about this? Of course, come on, let's talk about this.
This trend has been going on for years. We have our own Governor Hogan in Maryland who first campaigned on everyone leaving the state. So honestly, you can look at historical trends.
And they're still leaving, by the way.
And they're still leaving. Baltimore City, we're seeing that too. And then you're also seeing in the West Coast states, especially California, New York, and New York City proper. And Chicago even now is having issues. Chicago's trying to become its own state apparently too. It's crazy.
That'd be a good thing, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Well, from a millennials perspective on this, I mean, I don't think there's anything new. I feel like younger generations, when you get out of college or even high school, like it's cool to be in the city. Like there's everything there, no matter.
No doubt.
And every city has its downfalls, right? I mean, you've got like the big cities, Philadelphia, New York, whatever, Chicago. There's crime. There's always been crime, but younger generations tend to like be drawn to them, and I don't think there's anything new that when they get older and have jobs and families, they move out. I don't think that trend's new. I think what's new is that the people that stayed past that phase, that had the families and stuff that used to live in there because of jobs, those are the ones that are now leaving. They're leaving for good.
It says California lost 13,000 businesses. I mean, wow. That's incredible. And it says, in The Hill, it says, and here's a quote from The Hill, rental trucks such as U-Haul from California to Texas are twice as much to rent as the same trucks going back from Texas to California. Want to go from Los Angeles to Dallas? It costs $2,558. The return back is $1,232. I mean, that speaks volumes right there. You can just look at the U-Haul statistics and see where people are going. The number one state people move trucks to in the United States with U-Hauls are Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Colorado are the rounding up of the top 10, basically. And people are fleeing. Let's guess. Which states are people fleeing, guys?
I think I named a few. California's one.
New
York's the other.
Illinois.
Yes. Where else?
Pennsylvania, maybe?
New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Awesome. Massachusetts.
Oh, in Connecticut?
Connecticut, but one of the top ones actually is California.
California.
And
no surprise.
Yeah, not a surprise at all. California is not even part of the United States. They're completely like on their own. They're like a whole different country.
We'll get this. In net migration daily, in Chicago, 156 more people leave than come in, and that's the net decrease. It's a daily net decrease. It's in the city of Chicago. Wow. In New York City, I'm 132. In Los Angeles, 128. But the cities where people are gaining, of course, Charlotte, Atlanta, Orlando, Tampa, Las Vegas, Phoenix. I mean, you see a trend there, guys. Tell me about the trend that you see.
Red flight. People are getting tired of being taxed, and they just want to go to places that are less restrictive in how they can live. California is a good example. Endless taxes. That's why we see when you buy even mundane products like gift shops, saying, in the state of California, this is known to cause birth defects in small for pregnancies. And it's like, okay, but no one else does that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's like the trend is you see the cities and states where the government's large and micromanages everything in your life to states where there's more individual freedoms and even tax freedoms.
Smaller government footprint.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Would millennials, obviously millennials are going to go where the jobs are, but aren't they also going to want to go where the jobs are and where there's freedom, or are they less concerned about that, more concerned about the job?
I think once they get their first paycheck, say, "Oh, I got my first paycheck," and they see how much of the city taxes are taking out. It's like, whoa, that eat half my paycheck. Let's
My
see other
kids did
cities.
that, I'll tell you that. First time they got their paycheck. Where'd all this money go? What is FICA, Dad? Who's that? Who's this person, FICA?
I don't know her.
Yes, well, we won't go there. Meanwhile, publication The Hill says it's social engineering from green energy to wealth redistribution that has made many working families poorer in California, as the long decline and the influx of people, of course, is overtaken by the outward flow. And basically it says the upper middle class is leaving the fastest, and these numbers are actually gaining steam from these blue states and blue cities to the red states. In other words, it's increasing as among other things, of course. I'm sure the SALT deductions. Yeah, go, Ryan.
I honestly think you see the upper middle class leaving the most in the most fastest and large numbers because they actually have the ability to move financially and with their jobs. Probably more mobile, probably more easy to find the jobs in the same industry in other cities. Unless you're like poor, you really can't uproot and leave. You're just stuck in this rut. And once you get up to the maybe middle class, you're gonna get taxed more. It's like you're rocking a hard place scenario, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Andrew, final thoughts on this particular subject?
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because if it's the upper middle class that's leaving, right, you're losing a lot of tax revenue, and those states that want to are usually the same states that want to implement these socialist policies, large welfare programs. Well, who's going to fund them once all these upper middle class are leaving, right? They're going to have to double down and start, it's not going to be sustainable.
Absolutely. And the next subject, we have Baltimore City Council considers income-based water bills. This is directly connected, to the first subject, which is the Democrats can't seem to run anything. And in Baltimore City, they're having an issue with water bills because the infrastructure is falling apart so much because it hasn't been maintained properly, despite the high taxes and so forth, that their meter system just doesn't work properly. So that's one of the reasons they want to go to income-based water bills. Of course, there's another reason as well. We have a clip on this. Let's hear the clip.
Access to water forms the foundation of everyday lives. Yet, we all know that families across our city struggle greatly to access affordable water and how to get answers when they have issues with their bills. Let me be clear. Water bills are the number one complaint received by members of the Baltimore City Council.
The Water Accountability and Equity Act was introduced in December by then Council President Jack Young. Earlier this month, he became mayor when former Mayor Catherine Pugh resigned amid allegations of corruption. The bill is co-sponsored by every member of City Council. If passed, Young's bill will establish a water affordability program based on customers' level of income.
So go, guys. Why not have food affordability or clothing affordability, or why not have income-based everything? I mean, they're starting with water.
As far as I'm concerned, Baltimore City is like the pinnacle of mismanaged cities. I mean,
amen to that.
There's so much wrong with this city. And if you look at the article, I think City Biz List is a publication that did an article about this. And they talk about that it's the low-income residents, right? So that are being literally targeted by the government bureaucrats. They're charging them extra on their bills and stuff. So they're literally eating the people and hurting the
eating
people.
their young.
I mean, yeah, but they're going after the people that can't afford it, and the city, and those are the people that vote, and these people, the Democrats establishment that's run the city for generations, and now they're feeding on the people that voted them in there. And it's ridiculous.
Well, here's a question. If they can't measure how much water you're using, how do you know how clean the water is? Because they can't really do anything, right? I mean,
chronic lead reporting stories in the schools too. So they just have but I'm saying on the water quality is that it's so mismanaged. They still have lead pipes in schools, and they keep complaining about, we didn't know there was lead pipes in these schools. And every year they come down to Annapolis every legislative session to ask for more money when they get so much money from the state, from other jurisdictions, other taxpayers. It's like, wait, you want more millions of dollars to do what? Throw it away and through private kickbacks to their buddies?
But here's the thing. For the most part, the wealthy have left of course, Baltimore City, right? And many wealthy have left. The wealthy have left many of America's cities, sizable cities. But so now all that's left are poor and the middle class. In some cases, just the poor and the lower middle class. Who's going to pay for it then? The lower middle class and the middle class. So then they're going to start leaving. I mean, that's really the issue, right?
Yep.
I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, what is next? Democrats cannot run cities. And it's no wonder that they can't run cities. They couldn't even keep their computers from being hacked, of course, during the 2018 election. And there was a recent story, and Squirrel, you know that because you're a cybersecurity expert, there was a recent story that came out that, of course, the DNC is way behind the Republicans with cybersecurity. This is on top of the 2018 hacking that occurred. I mean, what can you tell us? What do they need to do?
Invest in cybersecurity, make it a priority, and you got to bake it in at the ground up when you build your cybersecurity.
Probably hire
program.
Republicans, right? To run this. The DNC will hire Republicans to run, or maybe Hillary Clinton.
Hire competent security consultants.
Well, it goes to show you the focus of their party or their party platform. I mean, they pitch their campaign platforms is always like more and more and more. We're going to give you more and more, but they never have anything that goes into effect and works. I mean, they manage and mismanage rather all of these major cities in the United States that everyone's leaving.
Absolutely, and they keep getting rewarded. People keep voting them back in. I just don't understand it. I mean, it's incredible.
They want more money.
Next up, a principal establishes a parental dress code. A principal in Texas, you heard that correctly, has established a parental dress code. Yes, the school has a dress code for the students, but apparently the principal has decided to take it to the next step. Here's the clip.
A nationally acclaimed high school principal is standing by a new dress code she created not for students, but actually for their parents. Carlotta Outley Brown is the principal of James Madison High School in Houston, Texas. And earlier this month, she issued new rules for parents after one mother allegedly showed up at the school wearing a head wrap and t-shirt dress. Omar Villafranca is outside the school. Omar, good morning.
Good morning. And just to be clear, the parental dress code only applies for this school. It's not district-wide. And the policy says that attire that is, quote, totally unacceptable for a school setting will get parents kicked off campus. Now, some people like the new rules. Other people say it just really dresses down parents.
So apparently some parents were showing up with shower caps, others with curlers in their hair, others, of course, with just inappropriate dresses. Some of them were showing up, some parents that is, they were showing up with sweats, and the sweats had holes in them and so forth, or jeans. The jeans were basically holed from very high up all the way down to their... So the principal finally had it and said, enough already. We're going to establish this dress code. Gentlemen, millennials, talk to me.
I like it.
Yeah, go for it. We'll see what happens. But I guess it would be one way of saying, wouldn't it show that being a parent's kind of hard work, and they have to I don't know. They don't have time to dress themselves properly, I guess. So sweatpants and hair curlers is the way to go.
I feel like this is old school, like the principal. I don't know anything about the principal, but like this seems like, I mean, in your guys' generation, Mark, that like the parents,
the boomer generation,
the teachers
okay.
were never blamed. Yeah, in the boomer generation, the parents were they never blamed the teachers for anything. It was always the students' fault, and
Absolutely.
now that's shifted to where now it's the teachers to blame for everything. And this principal is saying, look, it starts at home, and if you don't show respect for yourself, like why should your kids? And
Imagine
she's putting
that.
her foot down.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like
that's a good way to think about it.
She's changing the perspective and saying like, you guys gotta show your kids how to do it. Like I'm in charge of my school and I'm gonna run it the way I think it should be done. Maybe you should be doing that at home. And it's kind of her way of saying that. So I like it.
That's probably why she's nationally acclaimed.
She is nationally acclaimed, and it makes perfect sense, but walk me through this. So your parent shows up for a parent-teacher conference, they're dressed completely inappropriately, then what happens? I mean, do you get the slip saying, sorry, your parent came to school as the student? Your parent came to school and they're really inappropriately dressed. Can you talk to them? I mean...
No, I got a feeling that Van Halen's going to write a song about that soon.
So millennials, what is the worst dressed outfit you ever saw in high school? That was inappropriate. I mean, worse in terms of inappropriate.
Not necessarily appropriate, I would say, but it was like questionable and like, whoa. Biology teacher, we were like,
the teacher?
Yeah, the teacher.
I was gonna say probably me during Spirit Week one day. Had some real short shorts.
Oh,
got
Spirit
in trouble.
Week.
Yeah,
Oh,
English
boy.
teacher. Yeah, Spirit Week. Yeah. Borrowed
private-
some shorts, but
Coming from a private school, Spirit, we got a little crazy. I'm like, oh shit.
just major kudos to this principal. Apparently the principal actually went to this high school. It was her lifelong dream to become the principal. She's African American and she is super old school. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
yeah, and apparently it's like a failing school too. You know,
Yes.
so not only is she trying to change the culture,
She's probably
of,
trying
like,
to get
the
blue ribbon,
educational,
maybe.
she's probably changed like the whole culture.
She has, and there are references in the article, like how many times have you gotten on an airplane? You've seen someone get on with the airplane with incredibly inappropriate outfit. I mean, no kidding. When
Yeah,
I was in
sweats
my
and
20s, as a boomer, everybody dressed up when they got on an airplane. Now people get on an airplane, they've got sweats on.
Yep, sweats and flip-flops.
It looks gross. I mean, it's just, it's like you don't even want to sit down after them.
Oh no, I wear at least a button-down jeans and like boots or shoes.
Button-down jeans?
No, a button-down shirt.
That's a squirrel comment.
I got two in right now.
How you say those tear off pants? Yeah.
Velcro jeans,
I got
apparently.
it from my time at Chippendales.
So next up, banning handshakes in some workplaces. Believe it or not, some companies want to ban handshakes. So we have a clip on banning handshakes. Here it is.
A survey by the website Total Jobs found that many would like to see a ban of all physical contacts, complete physical contact, including handshakes in the workplace. This will be done in order to avoid any confusion over what contact is acceptable and what is not acceptable.
So this is indeed true. There are some companies that want to ban because they feel like some people grip your hand too hard. And of course, a lot of this has to do with when a man shakes a woman's hand, right? And it could, of course, this could go in reverse as well. A very strong woman could shake, Squirrel's hand and he could get really intimidated, for example. And well, you are in cybersecurity, so
Dainty.
So what do you guys think about this? I mean,
Give me a break.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, we're tying this into the previous story, which is we have a principal trying to do the right thing, to tell people how they should dress and how they should conduct themselves in a formal environment and certainly a learning environment so that they're prepared for college and prepared for the workplace. And here, on the other hand, we have some companies saying, oh, no, we don't want to give people unfair advantage because they shake hands really well.
Like, have you guys ever had someone give you like a dead fish handshake and it's like it creeps you out and like, dude, really? Like, come on. Look me in the eye, give me a firm handshake, say, pleasure to meet you. My name is what, and we're good.
That's right.
This is one of those things where I feel like they're just like going too far to the extreme, right? Like it's like we talk about like inappropriate physical contact, but then it's like to fix that, you just go too far to the extreme. It's like now you're telling people you have to sign a contract to know what kind of contact you can have with another human being. Like a handshake is going too far.
Sure.
You don't do hugs anymore, though.
Yeah, I mean, fine. If you don't do hugs, I get it. Whatever. Handshake. That's business appropriate.
It's going to find its way probably into the public space at some point where someone in some state puts a bill in to do something like that, right? Because
Bless their hearts.
hasn't happened yet as far as we know.
But what's the alternative, though? There's like a little wave of hi or a signing, hello, handshake. I don't know. Like, what's the alternative? Like,
no, next they're going to say you can't make eye contact unless they speak to you.
That's right.
Or unless they consent to eye contact because they feel threatened with a stare.
Ban smiling because this person smiles better than this person. Or what if someone dresses nicer? You can't have that because, they might be more successful. They're dressing for success. I mean, come on. I mean, at least in the workplace, of course, with millennials, you guys don't have to dress up as much, right? Especially in the tech space.
Yeah, it's nice.
Seeing that you just came from work and I'm looking at the way you dress, I can say you didn't put a lot of effort into it, okay?
It wasn't wrinkled. It's
The
good.
teacher in Houston would have kicked you out.
Yeah, probably.
So next up, a serious story. Tucker Carlson talks about MS-13 in Maryland. I'm not sure if this is Tucker on the clip. Okay, it is Tucker. Good. Thank you, Adam. And we have this clip. You have to listen to this to believe it.
Ariana Fuentes-Diaz's death could easily have been prevented. It wasn't an act of God or some freak accident. It wasn't even a random crime, the kind that inevitably occurs in a country as big as ours is. No, her death was the product of a deliberate policy. Our leadership class has decided to downplay the threat of MS-13. Why? Because Trump attacked MS-13. Therefore, in the demented zero-sum calculation of permanent Washington, MS-13 must be virtuous. The enemy of Donald Trump must be my friend. That's how they think. It all started almost exactly a year ago when the president said this.
So when the MS-13 comes in, when the other gang members come into our country, I refer to them as animals. And guess what? I always will.
Keep in mind, MS-13's motto is kill, rape, control. They routinely torture and murder high school students. They bring drugs across the border and into our neighborhoods. They're the deadliest criminal gang in America. And yet, once Trump attacked them, the left decided that worrying about MS-13 was a greater threat to our values than the gang itself. Anyone who criticized MS-13 was denounced as a racist, if not a tool of Putin.
So everybody out there, and millennials, this happened right outside the nation's capital. Right outside. Fox News is one of the few news sources, news outlets that's actually reporting this stuff. It's a 14-year-old girl was killed with a machete and a baseball bat when an MS-13 gang members turned on an associate in extremely violent behavior, the police in Maryland said. The body of the victim was found in nearby Prince George's County, which is right adjacent to Washington, D.C., and the folks who killed her, one was 16, one was 17, and one was 14. Unbelievable. And this, of course, is happening a lot more frequently than I think is actually even being reported. Thoughts on this, guys?
It's ridiculous because honestly, the two individuals that committed this crime, they were arrested for attempted murder beforehand, and the ICE had to detain her, and then PG County released them to a juvenile detention facility.
So Prince George's County had them, the police had them, and ICE had a detainer, and Prince George's County let them go
to the juvenile detention facility, saying, "Oh, that's no longer our jurisdiction," which is kind of like, wait, whoa, and then they got released back into to the general population. And guess what happened? They wanted to kill the potential snitch, which was unfortunately this 14-year-old girl who was potentially a snitch. So that was the reason why they wanted to kill her, because they didn't want to get outed again. But they were arrested for attempted murder. They should not be on the streets. They should go. I don't know what you want to do with them. Send them back, put them in jail for life with no parole.
Enforce the laws. I mean,
there you go.
That's why just enforce the laws as they are. Like, it makes no sense. Like, certain laws make sense. We talk a lot about these dumb bills, but when it comes to public safety, there's a lot of good laws out there. And when ICE wants to look at someone because they've attempted murder and they've broken the law already, like, we should probably enforce it. These sanctuary policies are bad for public safety.
And if you're attempting murder, you're a minor, you gotta be charged as an adult. There's no mercy there. Come on.
What just amazes me that here's a state and a county in particular, the county, Prince George's County, is directly adjacent to the nation's capital, and they let these, and of course, ICE, of course, I'm sure has offices in downtown D.C. or Northern Virginia, certainly within 40 minutes of this location. And it wouldn't take very long at all for someone to get there, and they let them go.
And unfortunately, the story's not new. The unfortunate murder of innocents by MS-13 gang members, and it's the growing population of MS-13 in the DMV, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. It's just because of just politics, political games, and we're seeing the consequences unfold right in front of our doorsteps.
Yes, and I want everyone to know out there that one of the individuals, there are three individuals that committed this horrible murder, of course, because they macheted her and hit her with a bat and so forth, which is just awful. I can't imagine this kind of death. One of them lives really close to us. It's incredible. One of these evil individuals lives really close to us.
It's ridiculous that politics is what plays the part in this, because it's a battle between the Democrats who say that want the sanctuary policies and say, well, we're a country that we're open to everyone, we have to let everyone in. And the Republicans are saying it's about public safety. They're breaking laws, and what's frustrating, the state of Maryland is continuing to push policies. Other states as well, but Maryland, for example, is continuing to push policies. Just recently, they passed a bill. The governor of Maryland was pushing for legislation to expand community college to all residents. No, Democrats decided they didn't want to expand it to all residents. They wanted to expand state scholarships to only residents who are in the state illegally. And the governor just vetoed this bill. I mean, I literally look at it in the Baltimore Sun. The governor of the state of Maryland just vetoed a bill. He said, "Why don't we expand it to everyone?" They said no. They killed his version and said only illegals should get state-funded scholarships.
In almost the same vein, he just vetoed a bill just today about he vetoed a bill about saying that if you committed a crime with a gun, you should get double the penalties for repeat times.
Incredible. I mean, shouldn't feds defund sanctuary cities? I mean, it's like a no-brainer. We need federal legislation to do this. And should illegals reimburse taxpayers for services? I mean, I think they should.
I mean, hasn't Trump threatened that already? He's threatened to defund certain areas that have sanctuary state policies.
There have been a couple of bills, of course, United States Congress. Naturally, of course, we have Democrats who control the House and Republicans who control the Senate. But they had this opportunity, of course, when Paul Ryan was ahead of the House of Representatives, and of course, Republicans also controlled the Senate, and they really didn't do what needed to be done. No. I mean, it's really sad.
Yes.
A lot of nothing.
And on that point, though, there should be a pathway to citizenship for illegals, but then there again, there need to be a way to pay back for all the services they have in a protracted rate, or there has to be some mechanism, some system to give back to the communities that they've been living in.
And next up, we have the dumbest bill in America, Marcus Lemonis. He's a famed entrepreneur. He has his own show on cable called The Prophet. He was ordered to take down the American flag at one of his stores located in Statesville, North Carolina, because the American flag is too big. Here is the clip.
Well, we're not going to throw the rules out the window, but for me, rules are meant to really enforce people to not, hurt people or to break real laws. In this particular case, I'm going to take it as far as I have to. We have flown this flag for a long time. We didn't ask for this lawsuit. We fly this size pole and this size flag in over 180 cities across the country. It's been something that's been part of my DNA since I was a kid. And as I've told the city, when they filed the lawsuit and they're seeking the motion for injunction, it's not coming down under any circumstance.
Way to go, Marcus. So he's a self-made billionaire, and he started his own companies, and he's an immigrant to the United States. I mean, a great example of merit, someone who came here wanting an opportunity to better life. This is an RV dealership in Statesville, North Carolina, and this is an existing dumb bill. And of course, they decided to say, well, no, this is Memorial Day weekend, take down the flag. Thoughts, guys?
Timely.
This is so bizarre to me because I looked at some articles about this, and nowhere did I see anything that said a reason as to why.
No ordinance that's stated.
I mean, there's an ordinance that has size requirements. It says, I think it actually is breaking this ordinance, but there's no reason behind why they can't just make an exception. They want to take him to court over flying a really large and beautiful looking patriotic flag. I mean, you watch the video, it's amazing looking.
It is.
And it's in a fairly rural area. I mean, it's not impeding anything. There's nobody protesting saying this is awful. They're just taking this guy to court for why?
You just answered my question. I was wondering if it's impeding, is there any obstacles, vision issues? Because honestly, if the ordinance is the only way they can stand on in court for this guy, I don't think it's going to be thrown out. They're really? Come on.
Exactly. I mean, this is the dumbest thing I think this is a great dumb bill.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and it's an existing dumb bill. I can't imagine how many dumb laws. Obviously, it was a bill that became a law. It's an existing law. But how many dumb laws exist out there across the United States, and we've just been focusing on just a few.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not that many episodes into this.
This even speaks to the point of why does government exist in these instances? Why do we need government to tell you what size flag you can fly? Are you kidding me? Why? What purpose are we serving?
Yes,
I bet you this guy is going to run for elected office and repeal that ordinance. Next session, he might run. That would be funny.
Well, the interesting thing about Marcus Lemonis is, because I've watched some of his series, The Prophet, it's not that bad, is I actually think he's probably a Democrat. I really do. I think he is. But he's obviously a fiscal conservative, and he believes in capitalism because he's a very successful businessman. He's quite brilliant. I mean, most of the businesses that he's invested in, there have been some real bad ones, but most have been really good. But here's an example where he decided to put down, a stand, which I think is fantastic. So last thoughts on the dumbest bill in America.
Let the flag fly.
Andrew,
Ditto.
Final thoughts. Yep, got it. So next up, a Trump supporter used crowdfunding some months ago. So a Trump supporter used crowdfunding some months ago to raise private money from American citizens who voluntarily donated their own money to build the wall. We have a clip on this. It's an updated clip about how things are going. Here it is.
This is the first time in American history that a private organization called We Build the Wall, but this is the first time any private organization has built border wall on private land. And it's happening right here in the El Paso area. And it's not just any piece of land. This piece of land is right where the El Paso wall that separates El Paso and Ciudad Juarez, where that wall ends. There's been a half-mile gap between the existing wall and Mount Cristo Rey. and it was a ridiculously large gap that smuggling of both people and drugs would go through. But get this, the Army Corps of Engineers said that piece of land is too rugged to build on. You can't build there. Well, We Build the Wall proved them wrong, and the wall has been going up over the weekend. We're working 24/7 over the holiday weekend to give America a present on this Memorial Day.
So here's, so this is incredible,
That's a
right?
not can-do attitude right there.
That's so American. That is so
Yeah.
uniquely American. So my question is I'm sure the Democrats are probably already suing or going to be suing. I mean, you did reference that to stop private funding of a wall. Can you imagine? I mean, guys, come on. Thoughts on this?
Well, the inverse of this is the company that made Cards Against Humanity, that very cool, crass little card game. They bought some private land to not build a wall along the border. So you have that inverse going there. But I'm obviously for this We Build the Wall group doing what they need to do. A half-mile gap right by El Paso. Come on.
But this is when eminent domain makes sense, right? You go in there and you say, sorry, we're going to need like 10 feet of your land so we can build a wall.
Yeah, and you're only buying deserts. I don't know how much value is that going to be.
Exactly. The public interest is definitely in play here.
Mm-hmm.
Which
so
is why you have public
they're building this on private land. So how could the government sue if they're literally self-funding and building on private land?
Exactly. Well, and the thing is this is an area where they've had consistent trafficking of drugs,
right? And
I'm sure MS-13 members and other dangerous cartel members and so forth. And they're like, you know what? We're gonna do a GoFundMe campaign. And the gentleman who started the GoFundMe campaign said he was going to make it active once it hit $1 billion to start building the wall. But if it didn't hit $1 billion, then he was going to give the money back to everybody. So clearly, they hit $1 billion. Wow. I mean, they didn't hit $1 billion?
No, they didn't.
Oh, help me out. Come on, Adam, fix this.
So they're at $22 million right now. But
okay.
They're still privately building the wall.
So they're building it anyway.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know if this is a different GoFundMe, but
that's Adam, our producer. Go ahead, Adam.
22 million is the number they're at.
That's still pretty impressive. Like, I mean, that's not like a sign of like how popular the president still is, right? And that whole like, I mean, that was one of his biggest campaign promises. If that's not a sign, right? 22 million is pretty good, right?
22 million sounds like you can build a half-mile wall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess Mexico's not building the wall. That's the thing.
No.
Apparently that's not happening. Unless. So next up, Amazon is reportedly working on wearables that can read your emotions. Only Amazon can get away with this. Amazon is working on a voice-activated wearable capable of reading human emotions, Bloomberg News reported on Thursday. The e-commerce giant's hardware research and development group, Lab 126, and the voice software team behind Alexa are collaborating on the device. The news outlet reported, citing internal documents and a person familiar with what Amazon is up to. Gentlemen, is this something that you would buy?
Heck yeah. I have no idea what my wife's thinking sometimes. This is great.
I wasn't going there, but that's a good way to think about it. Maybe get it for your wife, because I wouldn't want it, because honestly, if it says like, oh, he's feeling really happy or really sad, and then all of a sudden I go on my search history, hey, you should buy this. This will make you feel better. I'm like, no, I'm good.
And Ryan the Squirrel, I just want you to know, he is single. Fuji is
different
married.
priorities.
So Squirrel what you should do is you should buy like a jacket, assuming this works, and then give it to the girl on a date and have her put it on so that way you know what mood she's in. Just a thought.
A very chivalrous move.
I mean, this idea you can see it making a fortune.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because the idea that someone walks by you and they show some sort of color or whatever the case may be to know what they're thinking or the way they're feeling, and stay away from me color. I'm not sure what color
it
that
might
would
help
be,
in a hospital setting for sure.
Yeah, can you?
Why?
Suicide watch, mental health issues, patients like that.
Yeah,
they
that's a good
actually have some medical applications, or even prisons too.
Yeah. Very
if someone's feeling rage and dude's about to maybe hurt somebody,
like when they go
inmate.
to Burger King, that Burger King commercial. Yeah.
Where's my chicken nuggets? You don't have any? And then rage fist.
I want my blue meal.
Red pill, blue pill.
I'm just amazed with technology. So, I mean, each podcast we try to talk about some cool technology that's out there. Well, that is it from Mark and the Millennials. Thank you for joining. A special thank you for Adam, our producer, Ryan the Squirrel Brady, and Andrew the Fuji Fujaniti. It's Mark Fisher. We're out.